Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Nate. I also go by Hockey Boy Nate, and today we are still discussing the threat for severe weather, even if it's as slight as it is, as well as snow. Yep, we're still discussing those snowstorms before things really start to cool down in the weather. As a matter of fact, after all this, nothing really happens for the most part. But I am still tracking the potential pattern that could be forming towards the end of April into May. So I'll definitely keep a lookout for you all, and we are going to be discussing that potential later on in the video. But if you guys are new to my channel, please be sure to leave a like. It helps me out a lot so that I can get onto YouTube's algorithm and share the word out. By sharing the stream, liking the video also does that as well. Subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications, share this with friends and family and on social media. Also follow me on social medias, including join my Discord server, as well as follow me on Twitch. I haven't been on Twitch in a little bit, but I'm planning to change that tomorrow. I can't do it tonight because I'm doing some yard work in the backyard, but if you guys would help support me that way, that would be greatly appreciated. And let's get straight into the video. Here today, the Wednesday event that we've been talking about is, as I've mentioned, is probably going to be the last day of some decent severe weather. So we have our slight risk that has been issued for southern or southwestern parts of Louisiana, southeastern parts of Texas, and southeastern or southwestern parts of Mississippi, I should say. And it goes into central parts of Louisiana as well. So places like Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Beaumont, Lake Charles, Port Arthur, you guys are in a slight risk. And then places like Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, New Orleans, Virginia Beach, and that marginal up there. Places like Raleigh, you guys are also in a marginal risk for severe weather. So if you guys live in any of those areas that I've mentioned, whether you're in a marginal or a slight risk, you guys definitely need to pay attention to this, or at least pay attention to the severe weather heading through your area here today. Your hail has a 15% chance. That's your giant slight risk here in the south. It's not exactly your giant slight risk. It's not giant, but it makes up the slight risk for the most part. So 15% chance. 15 is indicated in yellow. 5% is indicated in brown. So whatever probability you have, that's what you'll get, or that's your chance of getting 1-inch sized hail over 1 inch within 25 miles of a point. And then you'll have your 15% chance of wind, that's indicated in yellow, 5% indicated in brown. So this is a little bit more localized towards the coast, but it's really close to Houston and Galveston, so wouldn't be surprised if those areas also got some very strong gusty winds within the storm, or within the set of storms, I should say. And so a 15% chance, as I said, indicated in yellow, 5% indicated in brown. So whatever probability you have that chance of getting damaging wind gusts in upwards of 58 miles per hour within 25 miles of a point. So definitely want to monitor that as well. And then you also have your tornado risk. Pretty localized towards the coast, as I mentioned. This is basically surrounding the wind risk for the most part. But if you live in these areas, I would definitely continue to monitor this one. Alright, let's head to the HRRR model. This updates every single hour, so we'll have an idea as to what all is happening with these storms. So, as of right now, there's a massive supercell that's moving on through into Lake Charles at the moment. And if we actually go over there, you can see that there actually is a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings. There's one on the southwestern side of Louisiana heading towards Lake Charles. There's another one that's heading towards Clinton. So, 2 severe thunderstorm warnings, and this one actually has 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, $half size hail with that one. It's also a pretty strong supercell for the most part, especially with it having elevated rotation and some maximum expected hail size amounts in upwards of 2¼ inches. At some spots, it actually was around 1.5 inches. I actually posted about this on Twitter as to this strong storm heading towards Lake Charles. So please pay attention to my Twitter. I do update people as to what stuff is happening around them. So, you know, even if I'm not on YouTube, I do still try to get the word out stuff that's happening. So um, please, you know, please pay attention to my Twitter for the most part, I guess is what I'm saying. Shameless plug. But yeah. So there's your strong band of storms that are moving through Lake Charles. You also have some storms that are causing some severe weather north and west of Baton Rouge. And so as this continues to move along, more storms begin to form and it becomes to be a bit more sporadic here. And so this could continue to cause a flood risk. There's already been a flood risk for Louisiana for the past day. There's been a couple of flash flood warnings. So if you also see any flooded roadways, turn around, don't drown, because this is going to be a massive flood risk as well for your vicinity. And I would not recommend driving into flooded roadways because those flooded roadways can appear a lot more shallow than they actually are, and that's how people get trapped. So turn around and don't drown. Don't drive into flooded roadways. There's always another way. Then the storms, as time moves along into the afternoon, they actually become a bit more consolidated as they head towards New Orleans and Biloxi, maybe even Mobile, Alabama. So those areas over there definitely need to watch it. This is more or less by the 11 to 12 o'clock hours. And as this continues to push on through, then more storms start to form into a consolidated line along the coast. And that's your gusty wind threat right there before it starts to head off. And then more storms form near like Corpus Christi and north and east of that towards Houston. So if you guys live over there, you guys definitely need to monitor that before it seeds prior to midnight. So by the overnight hours, that's when the event will start to lag behind. And that's when people will be more or less safe from this event. Your energy, there's quite a lot of it. I mean, if you take a look at the dew points here, that's not really energy. Your moisture here, first off, your moisture is in the 60s for the most part, 70s in your purples. Anything above 60 is pretty good. So the fact that these thunderstorms are sitting within some relatively moist conditions is telling you how much moisture is in the atmosphere, and that could also lead to stronger, severe storms and more flash flooding. Because if you have more and more storms that form off of these moist areas, then of course you're going to get stronger or even more storms that will be able to produce a lot more of rain. So definitely something to keep in mind with all of that. You also have your convective available potential energy, or CAPE. This is the buoyant force in the atmosphere between warm air rising and cold air sinking. The displacement between the two is measured as CAPE, or convective available potential energy. So the more CAPE, the stronger the storms will be. Typically, you want over 2,000 in order for you to consider strong storms. As of right now, or heading into tonight, you can see these blues are here. That's 1,000 joules per kilogram. The yellows are 2,000. The red is 3,000. The pink is 4,000. And so not a whole lot of CAPE that really settles into southern Louisiana. There is some areas that get up into these yellows, but not really a whole lot, in my honest opinion. So your CAPE is limited, mainly because your boundary is very close towards the coast at the moment. So, yeah, that's pretty much it with this event. Let's move on to day 2, which has a wide spread marginal risk along the coast here, all the way over from Pensacola to Tallahassee, all the way down into New Orleans, Lake Charles, down into Houston, all the way over to Del Rio, and then it curls all the way up to San Antonio and to Austin. And so if you guys live in any of these areas in the marginal, this includes places like Abilene and Waco. You guys definitely need to monitor the system for some a marginal chance for severe weather. 5% hail, 5% wind, and no chance for tornadoes so far. Alrighty, let's take a look at something that I had originally, and I don't know where it is now. Oh, there it is. There it is. Oh, we don't need this anymore. We can just delete that. There we go. So let's take a look at the short-term forecast for the most part past this event. So you can see here from the NAM 12 kilometer, or just the regular NAM model, um, there's ongoing snow showers that are happening in the northern Rockies into the upper Midwest. You also have some snow showers that are lingering here in the central Rockies. So ski season may not be over for you all, but you can still see your band of thunderstorms that are moving on through from Oklahoma into Arkansas. I don't foresee this as majorly or overly severe, so that is the good news here for you all. But then you can see as the event starts to transpire today, that's your event for severe weather here. And this is also the chance for some severe weather over into Virginia and North Carolina. And so that'll start to move on through towards the 8 o'clock vicinity. So 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, that's when you guys can start seeing some severe weather. You also have some lingering showers that are in northern parts of Michigan. If you live along near Lake Michigan or Lake Huron, even Lake Superior, you guys could even see some bands of snow that could be moving on through into your general vicinity. As I said, some more lingering snow showers over here into the Rockies. That'll continue all the way until the weekend, and you'll see that as we continue to play the model. As the low pressure system continues to move on through, what starts out as showers on Thursday then turns into snow here for the north and east. So you'll see as it starts to head overnight, when temperatures start to get colder, that's when the rain starts to turn into snow, especially with the extra amounts of cold air that's being sampled from the low pressure system. So that's starting to turn into snow. You can also see snow in the widespread amounts here on Thursday into Friday. Nebraska, Kansas, the Dakotas, all the way over into Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Utah, all the way up into Idaho, maybe even Nevada. You guys could see a widespread snow event that could be pushing on through, some of which could be in heavy snowfall amounts. So two areas that could be producing some heavy amounts of snow here. One more located into the north and east, another one located towards the Rockies. And so definitely something that people are going to want to monitor. And as this continues to move on through into the weekend, it still lingers for the most part. We're here on Friday morning, 5 a.m. for the Northeast, 3 a.m. for the Rockies. This will be lingering for quite some time, all the way out until Friday night into Saturday. And by Friday night, that's when the events here in the Rockies start to seed. The event here in the Northeast is starting to weaken a bit in regards to snow totals, but that'll start to move on through. And by Saturday morning, you guys should see the events go away for the most part in the North and East. And so that's something that we'll have to watch as well. GFS here, let's take a look at this event here in New England. Your snow totals for the most part. Let's take a look at the Kuchera first. So we'll take a look and see your snow totals, just to look out for it. And you do see these pinks for the most part in places like western Massachusetts and to southern parts of Vermont and New Hampshire. And that can indicate around a foot, and anything brighter than that is over a foot. So some of these areas are actually getting some decently larger amounts of snowfall. And in regards to as to whether it will stick, it's spring snow, so the ground is relatively warm at the moment. But if the ground can accustom to the cold air around it, I wouldn't be surprised if you guys actually had some measurable precipitation, maybe even up to a foot in some higher elevations. So I would definitely continue to watch this. You're definitely going to get flurries for the most part. Most people in the Northeast most likely will get flurries. But that's definitely something that we're going to have to continue to monitor as time moves along. But as I said, some areas here are getting even and upwards. Here's the maximum amount of snow. And according to this run here, they're saying that the maximum could be almost 2 feet of snow. 21 inches, pretty large for this event. So this is definitely something that we're going to have to monitor. So as I said, Vermont, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, maybe even in some parts of Maine, you guys are definitely going to want to watch that according to the Kuchera. The 10-to-1 ratio says worse, actually up to 2 feet, but some of these areas here along the border of Vermont and New Hampshire definitely could see some amounts and upwards of 2 feet according to this run. You also have some areas that are near Birmingham here in New York, maybe a bit further east of Birmingham. Not exactly towards Albany because the Hudson River is creating lower snowfall totals. Anywhere near any sort of water is going to get some lower snowfall totals if you live in New York. But for the most part, there are some higher amounts of precipitation that could be falling in the higher elevations. So if you live in the higher elevations, or if you're hearing this transmission and you're going to a higher elevation, you could potentially see some snow, maybe even some freezing rain, ice, something like that. Moving on here to the freezing rain, there isn't any. And then sleet, there isn't any as well. So that shows you that it's going to be pretty concrete according to the GFS, that it's going to be a straight up snow event for the most part. Moving off towards the Euro model here, and the Euro is saying that it's going to be relatively localized towards the northern Appalachians of or just the mountains of Vermont, and maybe even into central parts of New Hampshire. So you can see here how these are forming these kind of lines, and that's the mountain range here in Vermont and New Hampshire. And it also says that it has some decent amounts here in the northern Adirondacks within New York. And so upstate New York could potentially see some snowfall on upwards of 1 to 3 inches, maybe 3 to 5 in higher elevations. But in some of these areas, especially within the mountains of Vermont and New Hampshire, some snowfall amounts could go from 5 to 8 inches, say around the valleys, 8 to 12 once you start to climb up the mountains, and then 12 to maybe even 2 feet in some spots. The maximum on this run actually says almost 20 inches, so definitely something to monitor for that for the most part. Then we'll take a look at the 10-to-1 ratio, and a lot more widespread this snow is according to this run right here. And so definitely something we're going to want to monitor for the most part. And one thing that I do want to mention real quickly too is that there even is some snow that gets towards Portland here in Maine as well. So this is definitely something we're going to want to watch relatively closely, that there could even be snow along places here in coastal Maine. So I just wanted to make a note of that real quickly for us here. Alrighty, the last thing here is that we're going to take a look at the Rockies, and we're going to take a look at the total snowfall for your guys' areas here. So we'll take a look at the 0Z here. And you can see for the most part, the snow is kind of dialed down a little bit according to the 10-to-1 ratio. The maximum amount of snow that people can get is around 13 inches, which would either be localized near Denver or a bit further to the west of Denver, localized into the mountains right there in the Rockies. But some decent amounts of snow there, and some decent amounts of snow that's on the border of Colorado and Nebraska. So if you live over there, you guys could definitely see some larger amounts of snowfall. Not too large, be almost around a foot, maybe a little bit under than that, but still something to monitor. And then you have the Kuchera run, which is saying that anywhere along the Rockies here could see larger amounts of snowfall for the most part. So definitely something we're going to want to monitor here, especially as this unfolds around us. A lot more of a widespread event here that could lead to some snowfall amounts up to a foot, maybe even larger than that in some of these areas. So definitely something to monitor as well. And ski season will definitely continue for people who want it over in the Rockies. We'll move over to the GFS here. take a look at the Kuchera run, and it actually says that snowfall actually gets up to almost 31 inches right here. You can see that the max says right here 29.1, but this clearly says 31.0, and so I think I think Weather Bell might be lying to me. But there is some areas of up to 31 inches of snow. You also have a more widespread area of over a foot of snow here that heads into places like Kansas and Nebraska, as well as the flatter areas of Colorado. So definitely something we're going to want to watch as this continues to unfold. But still, larger amounts of snow that could be localized into the Rockies as well as into the New England areas. So that's a weird snowstorm to say the least. It's April. We would have thought that it would have been over by now. But, you know, it's still one of those things to where we call it as we see it. And we'll try and get the word out as much as we can. So, all right, let's take a look at the future cast here, or whatever you want to call it. I did mention that we were going to talk about the threat for severe weather, or at least the pattern that we might be currently changing into. And so, you know, if we take a look based off of what the GFS has said so far, you know, let's head to model run that actually has hours. There we go. So perfect. So this is more into Monday, April 19th, 2021 here. You can see a new low pressure starts to begin. You also have a boundary here that forms, and so that'll continue to bring more snow towards the northern parts of the United States. But your low pressure goes on through, and then the chance for severe weather here on Tuesday, the 21st, or I'm sorry, the 20th here, could see a nice little severe weather event right here within Florida, like Daytona or places south of that. Not sure as to the magnitude of this event, but along this boundary, you could potentially see some severe weather. And so right here within Florida, Jacksonville, maybe further south of that, towards Orlando and Tampa, you guys could potentially see some severe weather. And so we'll definitely want to watch that as this continues to unfold for us. You also have this giant boundary from this low pressure system up here. Some could bring some snow amounts, some could bring some light precipitation for the most part. But as of right now, I don't foresee a whole lot. We'll have to continue to monitor it, but the GFS says that there is some decent amounts of snow that could fall from this event. So we'll watch it. We'll watch it closely. And then you have this giant cold spell again, some more of this Arctic blast, if you will, that comes in. So all of these little blue lines, these little blue squigglies, that tells you temperatures below the freezing point. And so you definitely have some cooler temperatures that will return and continue to linger. But then another area of storms that could be coming later on into the week, next week. This is potentially when our next area of severe weather could be amplified here. So on Friday, April 23rd, which just so happens to be my birthday, that'll be another severe weather event that'll happen on my birthday. I won't be able to celebrate it ever if we continue to have more severe weather like this. So, my goodness, but there's definitely a larger amounts of severe weather that'll be moving on through. So places like Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, maybe even to places like the Ohio River Valley, and maybe even the southern Midwest could potentially be impacted by this. But for the most part, these storms will be moving on through as a line, and that's pretty much the end of the model run here. For the most part, actually, if we go into the 6-hour thickness, we can see a bit further than that. So this low pressure system starts to move off into mid-Atlantic, and then this is when things start to get pretty wonky for the most part, because you have a new low pressure system that'll be moving on through, and this could potentially bring some severe weather. You have your low pressure system with your boundary that could develop, and so as that unfolds, maybe the chance for severe weather lingers, and that's when some areas here in traditional Tornado Alley could start to ramp up. And then as this continues to push on forward, you can see, you know, freezing rain and sleet in some spots, snow in another. here in the end of April into May, which I'm not saying this is guaranteed. I'm just saying it's a possibility. But the threat for severe weather could return in ample amounts by the mid to the end parts of this week. We just got another subscriber. My goodness, Ginger Tea with Honey. Thank you for the subscription. I really do appreciate it. There's your shout out. You didn't know you were going to get a shout out, but you did. So, thank you so much for the support. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for me. If you guys did like the video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, just like what Ginger Tea with Honey just did. Also, be sure to share this with friends and family on social media, as well as follow me on social medias like Twitter. I mentioned that I do stuff to inform people on Twitter, so if you want to do so and follow me, link is in the description down below. Also, a shout out to our supporters, our memberships here, the people who can't think of the word at the moment. Sponsor, there we go. Sponsor my channel. My goodness, we got another one here. So another shout out to Anthony Miller for becoming our recent sponsor. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And without people like you, Melissa Wallace, Rissa, Nightmare, Cryptomaria, Marie Hall, Back at the Ranch, Focus, The Real Necro TM, Tanner, Theresa, and Hockey Mama, I wouldn't be able to do the stuff that I do today. So you guys are amazing. I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much for all that you do. Believe me, I really do appreciate it. So thank you so much. It means so much to me. That's going to be it for me. My name is Nate. I also go by Hockey Boy Nate. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.